Today, Napheesa Collier went on First Take, and when we're talking women's basketball, you can't help but to bring up Caitlin Clark. It's just the way the world works.
WNBA star Napheesa Collier isn't happy that the Indiana Fever, led by Caitlin Clark, are getting most of their games broadcast on national TV. She thinks it's unfair, but is it really about fairness, or is there something else at play? The reality is simple. TV networks aren't favoring the Fever just because they like them more. They're airing their games because that's what fans want to watch. The numbers speak for themselves. Caitlin Clark's games are drawing record-breaking viewership that the league has never seen before. By the end of this video, you'll see why Collier's argument misses the bigger picture of how sports broadcasting actually works.
Molly Karam, you win the award for the dumbest question of the day. Napheesa Collier, you win the award for the foolish answer of the day. And Stephen A. Smith,
Did you hear what Napheesa Collier just said about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever? Her comments on First Take are making waves across the basketball world, and for good reason. Collier, a star for the Minnesota Lynx and vice president of the WNBA Players Association, joined ESPN's First Take, where she was asked directly about the controversy surrounding the league's TV schedule. Her response has sparked a heated debate.
And Napheesa Collier went on to First Take, and of course, as expected, she was asked about the Fever getting more TV viewers, which is just one of those, obvious things.
The controversy? The Indiana Fever will have 41 of their 44 games aired nationally this season, while the defending champion New York Liberty will only get 32. Instead of recognizing the simple business reason behind this decision, Collier gave a response that many fans found confusing. She suggested the situation was kind of crazy and unfair to other teams, igniting even more debate.
I mean, the reason why they have more national TV games because 18 of the top 20 most viewed games last year were the Indiana Fever. It was literally if I'm not mistaken, it was if you don't count the All-Star game, there was a Las Vegas Aces and Chicago Sky game that, again, was directly before one of the Fever games which had more viewers in it, which was literally right before a Fever game. So a game that led into a Fever game.
What made Collier's comment so controversial wasn't just what she said, but how she said it. She started by admitting that people want to watch Caitlin Clark, which makes perfect sense. But then, she quickly shifted gears, calling it crazy that the defending champions aren't getting more coverage. In trying to have it both ways, she acknowledged why networks prioritize Fever games while also implying there's something unfair about it. That contradiction is what sparked the backlash.
So if there are 175 slots, question Fee, because you know more than me, how are we able to give more games to other teams without taking away from other teams? How does that work? Please enlighten me.
The most surprising part of Collier's statement was her suggestion that other teams should get more national TV games, without reducing the Fever's coverage. This shows a basic misunderstanding of how TV scheduling works. Networks have a limited number of slots, so it's simply not possible to give every team more airtime without cutting games from someone else.
Now, the WNBA do not decide who's on TV. Let's be there. They make the deal with the WNBA to get a certain amount of games on certain days, and whatever, these networks choose who to show.
Stephen A. Smith wasn't buying it. He fired back at Collier with a strong comparison to Michael Jordan's early years in the NBA. Smith emphasized that popularity drives viewership, reminding everyone that the NBA built around Jordan long before he started winning championships. The message was clear: TV networks aren't playing favorites, they're simply giving the fans what they want.
80s, for example, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird took the NBA by storm and they were winning championships, competing for championships, but then this dude named Michael Jordan came along. And Michael Jordan came along and he wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA practically marketed everything they could around this guy. So to know that there's an example like that as a shining example to be followed that could benefit the league, particularly down the road, why is that an issue when we've seen that such a marketing plan has worked in the past?
What's especially puzzling is that Collier doubled down instead of recognizing the simple business reality. Her stance makes it seem like she wants equal TV time for all teams, regardless of what fans actually want to watch. But that raises a bigger question. Why would a veteran player and WNBA Players Association vice president take this position? What's really behind her argument?
I think it's an issue. I do think Caitlin's a star, and like I said, people want to see her, and we are trying to grow the league. Like, you need to put on TV the players that people want to see. But kind of what I said before, I don't think raising the level of the other teams has to mean bringing down Caitlin or the Indiana Fever. They should have those amount of games on TV on primetime, but I think other teams should also have more than what they have.
Collier's comments point to something bigger happening in the WNBA, rising tension between longtime stars and the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. This isn't really about fairness, it's about visibility and attention. Before Clark arrived, the league's biggest names had a certain share of the spotlight. Now, that balance is shifting fast, and not everyone is happy about it.
The issue with this is that if you are a WNBA owner, you have any stake in the collective bargaining agreements, you see how out of touch these players are. You know you're walking into those meetings with the high ground. Shout out to Obi-Wan. I mean, it is what it is.
This situation becomes even more intriguing when you consider Collier's role as vice president of the WNBA Players Association. She's supposed to advocate for the financial interests of all players, yet her stance seems to overlook the economic realities that could benefit the entire league. The massive TV audiences Caitlin Clark is drawing aren't just about one player, they have the potential to drive up revenue, leading to bigger contracts for everyone, including Collier herself.
Hey, Napheesa, is it fair while my employer, ESPN, says, man, Molly, I want to pay you as much money as I possibly can, but the only way we can do that is with advertisers, is with red. So to help your bottom line, ESPN needs to boost their bottom line. And unfortunately, Caitlin Clark, she raises everybody's bottom line.
Behind all the talk about fairness and TV schedules is a simple reality that the Players Association VP doesn't seem to grasp. Networks aren't playing favorites, they're following the money. The numbers don't just tell a story, they shout it loud and clear. Caitlin Clark is bringing in record-breaking viewership, and that's exactly why the Fever are getting prime TV coverage.
Stan, like, from a casual perspective, there was 1.5 teams that were good to watch last year, or 2.5 teams. The Wings were so fun to watch. They were garbage, but they were so fun to watch. The Wings, the Fever, and the Liberty were the only teams from a casual perspective that were good to watch.
Let me hit you with some facts that explain why TV executives are rushing to put Caitlin Clark on our screens. Would you believe that 18 of the top 20 most watched WNBA games last season featured the Indiana Fever? The only exceptions were Game 5 of the finals and one Aces-Sky matchup, which, by the way, led straight into a Fever broadcast. This isn't about favoritism. It's about cold, hard numbers. Networks air what people actually want to watch.
The reason why they have more national TV games because 18 of the top 20 most viewed games last year were the Indiana Fever. It was literally, like, if I'm not mistaken, it was if you don't count the All-Star game, there was a Las Vegas Aces and Chicago Sky game that, again, was directly before one of the Fever games which had more viewers in it, which was literally right before a Fever game.
The gap between Fever games and the rest of the league isn't just noticeable, it's massive. When Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, viewership routinely surpasses 1 million. Meanwhile, WNBA games without her often struggle to hit 200,000. That's not a small difference, it's a 5x multiplier in audience size. Now, put yourself in a TV executive's shoes for a second. If your job depended on it, would you rather air a game with 200,000 viewers or one with over 1 million? The choice is obvious. Still need more proof? Look at the Fever's playoff matchup against Connecticut, 3 million people tuned in. And when Clark was still in college, her NCAA tournament games pulled between 14 and 19 million viewers. These aren't just big numbers, they're game-changing. They're reshaping how networks think about women's basketball.
So a game that led into a Fever game, no other time when the Sky played the Aces, but the one that led into the Fever game, and it was Game 5 of the finals. That was literally it. They were the only games that had more viewers than Caitlin Clark game.
Here's something Collier and other players need to understand. Broadcasting slots are limited. There are only 175 total national TV slots for WNBA games. That means every time a network chooses to air one team, another team gets left out. It's a zero-sum game. When ESPN puts the Fever on national TV, it's not because they like Caitlin Clark's smile or because they're playing favorites. It's because advertisers pay for eyeballs, and Clark is bringing in those eyeballs at historic levels.
Because if you look in the way with college basketball and the women's, yeah, the game has not been as big as it was with Caitlin Clark, but there's a lot more viewers in 2023, so you can see there's a positive growth there. And you can see all these positive things. And I think that's the way the WNBA is going.
Networks are businesses. They've invested millions for the rights to broadcast these games, and they need to maximize their return. If you're running ESPN and have to choose between airing a game that will draw 200,000 viewers or one that will pull in over 1 million, it's not even a tough decision. It's just basic math. The choice makes itself.
There are multiple times when the Fever play other teams and they have to make a choice, and these networks are going to choose the Fever every single time. And any person at any of these networks that does not choose the Fever should be fired.
What we're seeing isn't some conspiracy to promote one player over the rest, it's simply fans voting with their remotes, and networks responding to that demand. This isn't favoritism, it's capitalism, plain and simple. The Fever aren't getting more airtime because some executive decided they deserve it. They're getting it because millions more people tune in when they play.
That's how it's done. That's literally how it's done. Caitlin Clark, boom. Well, let's put Caitlin Clark games on as often and as frequently as we can, so advertisers pay us the money to advertise during the Caitlin Clark. This is such a simple idea that I think that I'm stupid sometimes.
Here's the twist that changes everything. Those million-plus viewers tuning in for Caitlin Clark aren't just watching her, they're being introduced to every player she competes against. The idea that Clark is stealing the spotlight completely misses the bigger picture. This isn't a zero-sum game where one player's popularity comes at the expense of others. It's an unprecedented opportunity for growth that's lifting the entire league.
And it's not like these teams or players are making more from their games being shown on TV. The more games these networks choose to show, the more money they all make. This is a weird one, saying it's crazy. What are you on about? I'm sorry, it's never in any sports league in the history of sports has the team who won the championship automatically been the most watched team the next year.
Think about it. When the Fever play the Lynx, yes, people tune in primarily for Caitlin Clark. But who else are they watching? Napheesa Collier. That's over 1 million potential new fans seeing Collier's talent for the first time, exposure she wouldn't get otherwise. It's essentially free marketing on a scale the WNBA has never seen before.
I mean, the networks dictate what they want where, no? They want the best bang for their buck. Plus, there are other teams playing in those 41 games. My money says they will get more exposure from those games than any others throughout the season. You're damn right.